All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. So in case you weren't aware, there are a few rules in the gaming industry, but one of those rules is that From Software absolutely does not miss. They killed it last year with Armored Core 6, they changed the industry the year prior with Elden Ring, and now everyone is awaiting their next big release, which is Shadow of the Erdtree, the first paid expansion for Elden Ring. As of recording this video, Elden Ring is the single most awarded video game of all time, and many rightfully consider it as the best open world games ever made. So naturally, there is a ton of hype surrounding this DLC. In fact, with how dry 2024 is shaping up to be in terms of AAA games, Shadow of the Erdtree might actually end up being the biggest launch of the entire year. Now, if you've been waiting for some news and info about Shadow of the Erdtree, you are in luck because we have some news that has just been discovered. It seems like the trailer might be happening earlier than we thought, which is really exciting. We have a ton of stuff to talk about in this video, so check the chapters for easy viewing, and let's get started. Now, while From Software has been pretty quiet about when they're planning on releasing the first major expansion for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, we do know a handful of things officially, and there was a pretty massive leak that just came out of the Steam database that seems to suggest that we're either really close to a gameplay reveal or the official launch, or both. So officially, we know that the expansion has been in development for quite some time now, as From Software confirmed its development with a teaser back in February of 2023, which was roughly a year after the game released. Now, it's believed that the development started a little while before the teaser came out, and according to a number of trusted inside sources, this is going to be a huge expansion. Several sources have stated that Shadow of the Erdtree actually started development as two different expansions, but prior to the big reveal to the public, the decision was made to merge the two expansions into one gigantic one, which is the reason that the development has been taking so long. From Software is known for releasing huge expansions for their games, but with how gigantic Elden Ring is on its own, this is likely going to be their biggest DLC to date, especially if development started as two separate expansions. Despite From Software's silence on the official release date for Shadow of the Erdtree, a pretty huge leak started going around the other day after an unknown piece of DLC was added to the Steam database just recently. Before this, there were 4 pieces of DLC attached to Elden Ring, those being the bonus gesture, the digital art book, and the pre-purchase bundle from the game's launch and the adventure guide, which was added a few months later. The last DLC to be added to Elden Ring was 15 months ago, but earlier this month, a 5th piece of DLC was added, simply titled SteamDB Unknown App, and nobody knows what exactly it is. Now, as soon as this information went public, people started speculating over whether this was Shadow of the Erdtree or if this was in regards to something else. Now, some skeptics claim that this is simply updates to the Steam OS or other bug fixes, but I personally disagree. Updates like this wouldn't be listed in the Steam database as downloadable content, and on top of that, I really don't think From Software would be secretive about simple bug fixes like that. If they had a stability patch ready to go, they would just push it out. They wouldn't add it to the Steam database and then just sit on it for over a week without releasing it or even confirming what it is. This is absolutely some kind of content patch, and I have a few theories as to what exactly we'll get from it once it goes live. The most obvious theory is that this unknown app is indeed Shadow of the Erdtree, meaning From Software is in the final stages of development and they're preparing everything for launch. This could mean that we're right around the corner from a trailer or a gameplay reveal, possibly in the next few weeks, and then the DLC will officially launch in February, roughly around the 2-year anniversary of the base game's launch, but we'll talk more about release dates and reveals in just a bit. Now, the second theory that I have about this quote-unquote unknown app, and this may not be what you guys want to hear, is that this is going to be some kind of smaller content update or cosmetic add-on to coincide with the Shadow of the Erdtree reveal, perhaps like a pre-order bonus for the actual DLC. So something like emotes, armor, cosmetic, stuff like that. Granted, while this isn't the best news, it would still mean that Shadow of the Erdtree is still very close to launch, because From Software wouldn't add something like this to the database unless the main event was right behind it. But with how massive of a release Shadow of the Erdtree is going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up being some kind of massive pre-order bonus attached to it. Remember, guys, Elden Ring is a massive game, and I'm sure they're going to want as many pre-orders as possible, so to incentivize people via an in-game cosmetic or something that ties to Shadow of the Erdtree would be a really good way to do it. And not to mention, if this DLC is as big as we all think it's going to be, it will roughly be half the size of the base game, which on its own is bigger than most AAA games coming out nowadays. So From Software and their publisher Bandai Namco are going to be marketing this thing like crazy, which means pre-orders and special editions are likely. From everything that we've seen, Shadow of the Erdtree really seems like this is Bandai Namco and From Software's take on the Blood and Wine expansion, which, if you guys have played that from The Witcher 3, is absolutely insane. It's just like Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty as well. Like, that's how big they're trying to go with this, it seems like. So whichever theory you want to buy into, Shadow of the Erdtree is very close to release at this point, and I don't think there's any way that we can get through all of 2024 without it releasing. Plus, with how many people are talking about the addition to the the Steam database. It's entirely possible that From Software now speeds up their marketing campaign since their cover is more or less blown. Heck, there may be even a teaser live by the time you see this video. Probably not. We can all huff on the hopium and dream. Now for our next bit of news, there was recently an update on the official Bandai Namco Elden Ring playlist that was updated as of January 4th. Now this playlist update could be a coincidence, as even the slightest changes to the playlist would show it as updated. Like guys, even sorting the videos would show it up as an update. I think what happened here is that one of the employees updated the playlist to adjust the position of one of the trailers in the Elden Ring playlist, and that's why it's showing up as updated. Now this could mean that they're gearing up for the trailer release. They're doing a little bit of housekeeping and maintenance, get the playlist looking pretty in preparation for that big trailer hitting. It's also worth noting that the playlist does not show any unlisted or private videos, so I doubt they're going to upload the trailer until the day of. This is mainly to avoid a similar situation to the GTA 6 trailer that leaked the day before it was set to premiere. I'm sure the Bandai Namco probably saw that situation and they're like, nope, we are going to pass on all of that and just set the trailer live whenever everything is ready. Now the playlist being updated does raise some suspicion, and as much as I would love to believe that this is definitive proof that the trailer will be dropping soon, it's just not enough proof. All this is a simple update to the trailer playlist that I don't even know if From Software has control of. This all leads us to the next topic of today's video. When will we get the trailer, and when could Shadow of the Erdtree release? According to the latest news and leaks, the release date for the DLC is speculated to be February 2024 or just next month. Now, a lot of this release date is mainly just speculation. It's also just industry trends. There's also the now deleted Thrustmaster controller collaboration, as well as the financial report from the Katakawa Corporation, which owns From Software. The release date for the DLC is currently rumored to be on or around the anniversary of Elden Ring's launch and around the 1-year anniversary of the Shadow of the Erdtree teaser. Elden Ring, of course, launched on the 25th, and the DLC announcement was on the 28th. So if the rumored release date is at the end of February, it would make sense for the trailer to drop a few weeks before the expected launch to kind of give us a small taste of what's to come. I am super excited for this trailer to release. We've been all waiting for it for such a long time. Now February comes around and we don't get a teaser for early in the month. The likelihood of the DLC releasing in February is unlikely. However, it could be a situation where they just show the trailer for the DLC and then just shadow drop the DLC on the same day, which would be really fitting. It would absolutely break the internet, but I've got a feeling that they're not going to shadow drop it, as I'm sure they want to build up as much hype as possible and get as many of those pre-orders in as they can. There's been some discussions over whether or not Shadow of the Erdtree can actually hit the kind of sales expectations that Bandai Namco has for it, especially now that the game is closing in on 2 years old. Generally speaking, paid expansions for video games tend to release within 12 to 18 months of the initial launch. Obviously, this is MMOs excluded. From Software themselves have historically been very reliable with expansions for the games they make, typically releasing at least one in the first 6 months of the launch. Game development takes a long time nowadays, and Elden Ring is a massive game that warrants a huge expansion, but still, assuming the DLC launches in February, that will still put it at the base game's 2-year anniversary, which some have argued will hurt its potential sales, but I wholeheartedly disagree. Elden Ring was a massive success, and it's still extremely popular despite being almost 2 years old, which is a testament to how replayable the game is, as well as Elden Ring not getting any major updates in a long time. Over 20 million copies were sold in its first year on the market, and a few more million were sold during year 2, which is wild. According to Steam charts, the PC version of Elden Ring averages over 50,000 players at any given time, and again, that is absolutely wild. In the last 30 days have actually seen a massive 53% increase in players. Elden Ring is still an extremely popular game, and it's only going to get more popular once more content comes out. All of the people who have put the game down are going to come back for the DLC, and all of the people who have not tried the DLC yet are going to jump on the opportunity to play the new and improved version of it. But if you want even more evidence that an expansion or a DLC for a 2-year-old game can be successful, look no further than God of War Ragnarok Valhalla or Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Cyberpunk 2077 launched in late 2020 and was one of the most controversial game releases of all time due to the horrible false advertising and the completely broken launch date. Developer CD Projekt Red had some of the biggest uphill battles in gaming history ahead of them, and they spent the next few years trying to earn back players' goodwill before the release of their first paid expansion, Phantom Liberty, which finally came out in late 2023. But guess what? Phantom Liberty sold over 5 million copies despite the base game being 3 years old and having one of the worst launches in the history of gaming. So if Cyberpunk can sell 5 million copies of an expansion 3 years after after launch, I have no doubt in my mind that Elden Ring, one of the most praised games of all time, can match it without even trying. But what do you guys think about all this? Do you think Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is coming soon? Will we get a trailer next month? And just how big of an expansion do you think Shadow of the Erdtree will be? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any future gaming news. Hit the like button, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.